Welcome to a video on problem solving exercises. In this video, I am going to solve a problem on government expenditure multiplier. So first we will find out the national GDP in equilibrium given the aggregate expenditure and the national income. And then we will find out the government expenditure multiplier, which will tell us if government spends $1 more, increases its investment by $1, then what is the increase in the equilibrium GDP? That will be the multiplier. So let's begin with the specification for the aggregate expenditure. We know aggregate expenditure is the sum of households' consumptions plus private investments plus government expenditure and plus net exports. So let's have the household consumption given by the expression $250, that's the autonomous consumption part, plus the marginal propensity to consume being given by 0.875, and then that gets multiplied to what the households earn in the economy. I have the investments, private investments by all the businesses and the firms, also given by 250. We are given that the government expenditure is $200, and then the net exports. So exports, I am going to take the situation where exports exceed imports, so we have positive net export, and let's have it at $100. Given this, I can compute the aggregate expenditure 250 plus 0.875y, that's the consumption, household consumptions, plus the investment $250 plus the government expenditure $200 plus the net exports $100. We can collect the terms and we can see all the numbers added up. 250 plus 250 gives me 500, then another 300, so I get 800 plus only one term containing y, which is 0.875y. So that's the aggregate expenditure. Now I will go for equilibrium GDP. In equilibrium, the national income must be equal to the aggregate expenditure, and so I have y on the left hand side. I already got the aggregate expenditure 800 plus 0.875y. Given this, now we have one equation, one unknown, so that's my one equation, and we have only one unknown, which is y. So one equation, one unknown, we should be able to solve. I will collect all the unknowns on the left hand side. I have only one unknown, and the constant on the right hand side, so there is only one constant, 800. So let me subtract 0.875y from both sides, so we are able to get rid of the y term on the right hand side, and what we obtain as the new expression, y minus 0.875y is 0.125y, and on the right hand side the second term cancels out, so all I have is 800. Given this, I can find the value of y by dividing both sides by 0.125. Gives me y equal to 800 over 0.125. If you simplify this expression, you should be able to get 6,400. That's the national GDP. I can also find out the household consumptions using this national GDP. We have the expression 250 plus 0.875y which is 250 plus 0.875 6400 gives me 250 plus this term turns out to be 5600. Add the 2, 5850. So that's the household consumptions in equilibrium. We can also show this in a graph. So first I will find out the GDP through the graph. We have seen before. I will draw graph with Y on the horizontal axis, aggregate expenditure on the vertical axis. We know the intercept is 800 and the slope is 0.875, and then to find the equilibrium GDP I need to draw the helping line, which is the line passing through the origin with a slope of 45 degree. The point of intersection, let me first write, this is the helping line. The point of intersection tells me the Y value to be 6400 at this level. The aggregate expenditure also turns out to be 6400. Okay, now we want to find out what happens to the economy if the government expenditure goes up by $100. Let the government expenditure go up from $200 to $300, so an increase of $100. So again I will, and there is no change in other components, so I have aggregate expenditure, household consumption 250 plus 0.875y, the private investment $250, the government expenditure is now $300, no change in net export $100. So let me write, this is the net export, this is the new government expenditure, this is the I, and this is the household consumptions. We can simplify this. This expression will be similar to what we had seen before, except the constant terms goes up from 800 to 900. Now we are ready to find out the new equilibrium. So at the new equilibrium, Y equal to aggregate expenditure, I have Y here, 900 plus 0.875y, like subtract 0.875y from both sides as before. So what we obtain is 0.125y on the left. This is the same as before, but the constant term on the right has gone up by $100. To find out y, I will divide both sides by 0.125, and this gives me the new equilibrium to be $7,200, which means if the government expenditure goes up by $100, so change in government expenditure, I will denote it as delta G, 300 minus 200, I have 100. Change in equilibrium Y, I will write it as delta Y, 7,200 minus 6,400 is 800. This gives us the government expenditure multiplier to be the change in y divided by change in g. Let me write it more formally. Change in y, change in g, and you can see this turns out to be 8. So for every dollar increase in government expenditure, the economy grows by $8. I can also write down the formula for the government expenditure multiplier using the marginal propensity to consume. It is 1 over 1 minus MPC. So we can check whether we get the correct answer or not. So 1 over 1 minus 0.875 turns out to be 1 over 0.125, which is 8. And that is a good place to stop.